Okay guys, what's going on? We're here today. We're going to be comparing the JoyCons to the third-party JoyCons. And this is what I got right here. The JoyPad for the NS console. That's what it looks like. Um, so let's go ahead and break these things down. I'm going to compare and contrast them. Um, so for starters, let's just talk about everything they both have. They both have rumble. They both have motion controls. They've got everything you need. Now I will say the shape of them are a little different. So let's go ahead and look at this. Okay, back that up. So if we look at the shape, we can see that this one's very thin. This one's a lot thicker, feels better in the hand. If you have bigger hands, this is the way to go. Now it does come with a cable where you can charge these separately with a USB, and they both have it. And it's a dual end cable, so it charges both at the same time. But as you can see, this is a lot thinner. So whenever you're holding this, your thumb doesn't feel like it's getting like thumb ache, I guess. I've played hours with these, a lot more. If I play hours with these Joy-Cons, I get a lot of thumb pain where like you're having to arch it in a certain way, but they're very thin. Now, as far as a sideway control, the Joy-Con is still the better option for that, because if you play sideways with this, well, that kind of gets in the way, kind of feels a little weird, and also, you know, it's just not as good. It's doable for sure, but it's just not as good as the normal Joy-Con in my opinion. Now, whenever they both wake up the switch, this one just takes one button to wake up the switch. This one you have to hold the home button for 3 seconds to kick the switch on and kick this on as well. And for this one, it's the capture button, so it's just both the same located buttons here. Turn on both of them. Now it also comes with this, which makes it almost feel like a normal Switch Pro controller. Um, Now, just to talk about the analog sticks real quick. So, if you see here, the analog stick is so thin. And every time I use Joy-Cons, I feel like I'm going to snap that thing off, right? Now, with the new ones, oh yeah. Them bad boys, they ain't breaking to nothing. It feels so much better. They're also way bigger in general, have a thumb imprint there. This one, a lot smaller. But they both have everything you need. Um, Now, these will also charge on the Joy-Con itself, or not the Joy-Con, the Switch itself. It'll charge on the Switch no problem. Another awesome thing that it has is actually a D-pad, which is great. I will say the only thing weird about the D-pad is that this back button is just a little bit more clicky than the other ones. Like this is one button, this is that back button, one button, back button. So a little bit more clicky, and then also these have LEDs that light up right here whenever they're charging. If they're blinking, then they're still charging. If they're off, they're completed charging and they don't need to charge anymore. But the only thing is this lights up sometimes whenever it's charging on the switch, and you can actually see it through the plastic right here. And it's like this weird little white light that kind of glows right there, and you're like, what is that? The blue one doesn't do that, which I thought was strange that it did that, but that's about it. Now, if we look at the triggers, triggers are nice, clicky. The back ones are more mushy, but they feel really good. This feels good as like a nice like pro controller almost. Also, the D-pad's a lot better for fighting games. Now, the blue Switch controller does not have a D-pad. The Joy-Con doesn't have a D-pad. So whenever you're playing a fighting game, you have to try to like mash both buttons to do like a back jump, or like mash both buttons to do a forward jump. And it's a little bit, not as great. Just a little bit awkward whenever you're playing. But they both have the, full controller little plastic piece. Now, this is just a little plastic piece. They're probably about the same plastic. They don't feel any different. But yeah, there's that. Um, so there's also turbo buttons you can set up for anything, so it makes it a little bit better because there's no turbo buttons for these. But I will say, anytime you decide to get a third-party Switch controller, just know that they can update their software at any time, and they can actually make it to where, whenever they update their software, they can make it where you can't even use these Joy-Cons. They'll be completely useless. So if that happens, that's not cool. We don't want that to happen, but it's very low risk, and they'll probably never do that. But just know, buying a third-party controller, that's a potential that they can do, but they probably will never do that. Now, I will say, I will do this real quick. This is one thing that worried me about this product is that if you look, the Joy-Con slips on, clicks. There was no catching, nothing there. We pull it off very easily. So the red one, just want y'all to see this real quick. Now I looked at these, both of these bars here are about the same size. Whenever I compared them like that, they line up pretty well. But for some reason, this one, if you slide it on, it's like it's a lot of tension, and then eventually it'll click in, and then taking it off, you really gotta pull that thing to where it catches off. But that's really the only thing I've noticed that, and also you can kind of see the white light here. Well, shoot, I don't know. The green lights are on because it's saying it's on now, but there's a little bit of a white light right here. You can't even really see it just because it's so bright in the room, but it is what it is. So we'll go ahead and put this one back in here real quick. Just keep up with everything. Um, so yeah, and then another thing is you go to the controllers. Um, both controllers here. Do you see this is the Joy-Con that's red? The third-party ones will both be black, so you don't know which is which unless you're just looking at, each side that they're on, and that's pretty much it. Now it says the battery charge and all that; they're fully charged up. Now the Switch will also charge these controllers, as well as not only will they charge them, but you can also dock them as well. Like you can leave them on and dock it as well. Um, so yeah, but pretty much though, overall, I really don't have too much to complain about these controllers. These controllers are way better in my opinion. They literally do everything better, like having an actual thumb, like a D-pad. Now, if you're doing sideways controls, this D-pad is not going to be as good as obviously the normal Joy-Con because normal Joy-Con actually has buttons for people to use, and that's kind of why they went with that layout anyway. So there's that. But as far as just comparing like the side view of them, it's so crazy because look, it's like so much different. So you have a lot more to hold on to. It feels better in the hand. Also, these bigger analog sticks. Oh yeah, also it's Bluetooth as you can see. You can use it wirelessly, obviously. Um, so that's what makes these the best third-party controllers in my opinion. A lot of third-party controllers don't have Bluetooth sometimes, whether you have to have them docked or you have to have them on the Switch itself, or they don't have rumble or motion controls, but this has everything. These have everything you'll need, and then also the D-pad is super nice. The bulkiness is great if you have bigger hands, and you get like thumb aches, which I know a lot of people with bigger hands tend to have that happen. And another random thing that's just kind of cool is that the normal Joy-Cons will actually fit onto this little third-party controller piece to make a weird Joy-Con controller. Now, obviously, these won't go on to the Nintendo Switches because the handle gets in the way of the other handle. So, but overall, these feel a lot better. Now, this is another thing. The blue one is even worse about catching though on the rails. Like as you can see, it's not very smooth. And then finally, I get it to go all the way down. And then this other one slides on a little bit easier. I have been putting them on and off a little bit, so they got a little bit better with it. But yeah, so feels a lot better in the hand. Have bigger thumbsticks. A nice D-pad for fighting is a lot better, especially with Mortal Kombat. But overall, I would say these are the best third-party um, controllers you can get. And I'm gonna go ahead and take these back off to show you how stiff they are. The blue one's even worse, so very stiff to get off. And but as far as I've seen, it won't damage the railing at all. So the blue one is really, really on there. Oof. Okay, got it. Yeah, the blue one is a much bigger problem when it comes to sticking on there. Let's go ahead and put these on the side here, put these down, reconnect this up. So now you can kind of see what it looks like whenever it's Bluetooth. It's on, it's working. I'm using both of the sticks so you can see both of them are on. And yeah, so overall, this is a great third-party controller, and honestly what I'll be using. Now I also have the Switch Pro controller, and that blows all this out of the water because, if you're playing docked, it's just way better. But these are way better on the go, as well as they are a lot better as just a general controller anyway. Like this feels way better than the normal Nintendo Switch does, with these little thin buttons, very small buttons, or small triggers, small analog sticks. You got big triggers, big analog sticks, a D-pad, turbo button, setup, and that's about it. But I'd say really, this has nothing but pros. I'd say the only cons to this one really is the sideways mode and also how much tension there is trying to put them on and off. And you really got to fight that thing off, and especially with the button being so small, you have to push that in, and it feels like it doesn't catch sometimes. So you gotta like mash it. But that's really the only cons I can say about this. Everything else, solid pros, no other issues with it. Perfect controller. Definitely something for you if you have bigger hands. It's amazing. Highly recommend it. And alright, guys, I will catch y'all in the next one.